Oh my God. So I just recorded a video about Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and their quest to fight in the UFC octagon and how Andrew Tate is going to train Elon. And I was literally uploading it when boom, just like that, Dana White weighs in and says he absolutely will make this fight in the UFC and it'll be the biggest fight in the history of the world. So as we start to discuss this fight going forward in the rest of this video, keep in mind, this is real now. Both of them are serious. They're serious about this cage fight. If Elon actually does, this is the biggest gangster ever. Zuckerberg, my money on Zuckerberg. I guess they're going to have to get rid of weight classes. It doesn't matter. Watch this video, but now watch it through the lens that Dana has validated this thing might really happen. So enjoy this video, baby. Let's go. All right, so we got, this is Billionaires Row. We got billionaires to talk about in this video. We got Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk in a cage match they've both agreed to. We got Andrew Tate set to train Elon, turning this into the classic striker versus grappler matchup. Elon being the striker after he trains for a few months with Andrew Tate, and Zuckerberg, who also has striking, but we've actually seen him battle tested in in some grappling tournaments. So striker versus grappler. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about Andrew Tate training Elon. I guess Elon will have to go to Romania to accept that training. And then I'm going to talk in a much more serious situation about the Titan, the submarine, because they found it. They found it, and in my opinion, this is best case scenario. Okay, because now, assuming that the reports are accurate, we know what happened. We know what happened, and it's best case scenario. It is 100 times better than what I was thinking was going on throughout this whole thing. So I'm going to tell you about that. I'm going to tell you about this. I mean, not to speak ill of the dead, but this reckless moron who ended up being responsible for all of the deaths involved in this thing. I'm going to talk about that guy for a while. And then I want to talk about the people online's reaction to this thing, because, I did this video. I did this video yesterday where I talked about people being tested and you get to see what they're really, who they really are. Well, this is that for a lot of people online, and people who are gloating about these guys dying or being trapped in underwater. It's like, hey, remember when you made all those videos about, you're so concerned about society and people? That's over, dude. That your credibility does not exist. I mean, I already knew it didn't exist, but now it really doesn't exist. If you can't empathize with what we thought those guys were going through, then anyway, so we'll talk about that. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do that. Subscribe to the channel. Tell all your friends. Trying to get to 113,000 today. I appreciate you guys doing that. And also I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Yo Kratom, $60 kilograms. If you're a Kratom user, check them out. Yo Kratom, $60, dude. And it gets here in 2 days, every single time, as reliable as Amazon. Yo Kratom. All right, so let's start with the Andrew Tate going to train Elon. Now, speaking of Andrew Tate, I want to clarify something, because I talked about this on my live stream last night, and I'll tell you exactly why this is important. Normally, if I say something and then people take it out of context, they get bent out of shape, I don't really, I'll respond to a couple comments and then just kind of leave it alone. But this particular one, where I said that I don't like bullies when I was talking about the Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate thing yesterday about the Vice News guy, let me clarify my point, and I'll tell you exactly why. I can't stomach the idea that anyone thinks I was defending Vice News. I can't have it. I can't have it. I can't have it. I can't have it. Normally, I don't justify these kinds of things. Like, if people start, breaking my balls in the comments, pretty indignant. But I just want to make crystal clear. I despise Vice News. I hate Vice News. No one hates Vice News more than I do. Vice News, Rolling Stone, all, Vanity Fair, Teen Vogue, all of these magazines and outlets and media places that have been completely captured, the Young Turks, and they just lie and lie and lie. They smear people. If you're newer to my channel and you don't know a lot of my views past MMA, you might not know that. But for the record, I despise those people. The point I was making about the Vice guy is that the guy is a nobody, and okay, so they did a hit piece on him, right? They did a hit piece on Andrew Tate. completely understand. Super, super dishonest, nasty, as you would expect from those people. And so when Andrew Tate was doing that video, I'm talking about the video that he did where he was stringing the guy along, pretending like he was going to do the interview, had him bring chocolates, and then had him sit out at the gate. I was on board 100% with him toying with the guy. You know, like he's like, oh yeah, you know, why do you think I should do it with you? Like that, I do that stuff. I do that all the time. I toy with like scammer telemarketers all the time. You know, the chocolates, and he's like, I'm not going to do it. Like, I thought that was funny, dude. And then even having him come out, you know, with his crew was funny, right? Like, that's funny. And then you have him come all the way out. You're all, hey, you know, I rethought it, and yeah, I'm not going to do your interview, dude. You think that me and you are going to work together? What I was talking about is that entire video where he had him sitting out there for hours and hours and hours. And I was just watching it like, Jesus, man. Like, just, that's literally my entire point. Was like, this is too much. This guy is not a big enough deal to like merit this amount of effort. You know, and you're Andrew Tate. This is some like nobody who probably made 30 grand last year at Vice, and he's a nobody, dude. You know, like, to me, I'm like, I don't know, it's too much, dude. It then borders on bullying because the guy is not a worthy adversary. That's not a commentary on Andrew Tate or Tristan Tate more broadly. I was talking about that one thing, that one fucking thing. But like I said, no one can think that I was defending Vice News. I despise them more than anybody. I despise them as much as you, more than you. I can say that pretty unequivocally, actually. I hate Vice News more than you do. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to say about that. So first of all, how did this come about? So you got Elon went on Twitter, and there are very few people in the history of the world who are better at knowing what to say in order to create buzz. Now, obviously, Elon is in a position where he's certainly in the top 5 most famous people in the world, right? He owns Twitter, okay? But even before he owned Twitter, he was in a position where anything that he said was going to get eyeballs on it. If he said something notable, it was going to get a lot of attention, period. Now, he owns Twitter, so even more so, you know, now he's really one of the most, not just the most well-known, but one of the most visible. He is brilliant at saying things that are going to trend. Anything that he says now becomes culturally relevant. And so when he says, me and Zuckerberg can do a cage match, I knew instantly that Zuckerberg was going to accept. I was like, I don't know if he's joking. I mean, it's not like he has to do it for real, but like, Zuck's going to say yes. 100% he's going to say yes. Of course he's going to say yes. Zuckerberg went to a gym, like a local gym, to fight in a jiu-jitsu tournament. Mark Zuckerberg against total strangers who also train jiu-jitsu. You know, it's a much more stressful and certainly a much more risky fight for Zuckerberg than fighting Elon Musk. Now, listen, breaking down the fight is simple, okay? So I know that Zuckerberg is 135 pounds. Oh, Zuckerberg, he's super small. Okay, cool. He's also like, what, 35 or 36 or something like that? And Elon is way older than that. Well, Elon's way bigger. Right. Big does not mean good when it comes to the ability to move fast or even like be strong. Just because he's bigger, right? All that means he's got a lot more weight to move around. Muscle mass, quick twitch. Like, Zuckerberg is going to be faster, way more skilled. I mean, Elon has no chance in this fight. He's not going to do it, dude. There's no way. Now, if he does go and train with Andrew Tate, that would be hilarious. Just because Andrew Tate would do such a, if Elon really does this, you know, because he's got to know he's not going to win. I mean, I don't know if he knows, but if he really does this, that would be the most gangster. That'd be the most gangster move I've ever seen, ever. Because honestly, it's not like there's nothing gangster about Zuckerberg doing this. This is a risk-free fight for him. He trains all the time, you know, like he trains all the time. And for the, I'm sure most of you guys already know this, but for anybody who has not trained martial arts consistently, I can't stress this enough. Okay. Like, if you think of yourself as like a tough guy because you've gotten in fights at bars before, as an example, right? Like, let's say you're a guy who's fought a lot, right? You fought, like, I don't know, you've gotten in 10 fights in your life and you've done really well in all of them, but they're all like in the bar and they're like really kind of like, you know, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, hit that guy. It's like, all right, you know, cool. Like, I'm not discounting your courage, being willing to engage in whatever, right? But what you don't understand, literally every single day that a person goes to train, they are in a fight that day. Like, you get in a fight every single day. Like, if you're doing jiu-jitsu, every single day you fight another guy. That's what you do. You learn learn a technique, and then you go fight someone and try to strangle them, armbar them, whatever. So people are like, oh, well, he's only been doing jiu-jitsu. Like, as an example, like someone who's only been doing it for 6 months. It's like, they've only been doing it for 6 months, dude. You're all right, well, how often does he train? Well, I don't know, 4 days a week. You're all 4 days a week for 6 months? Getting in a fight every single day? Multiple fights every day, 4 days a week for 6 months. Versus you have done how many of those? I don't train. You're all, and you think that's not going to be a sizable advantage? Like, you know what I mean? It's, it matters, dude. Like, there's no, I mean, I realize it's kind of a ridiculous conversation because obviously all of you guys know this, but just in case we've got some straggler who has made it to the channel that doesn't understand how all this works. Like, Zuckerberg will destroy Elon. There's absolutely no chance. He has no chance at all. How does Elon win that fight? It's impossible. Okay. But I really do hope that he does it because Elon is a gangster like that. I think he wouldn't even care. Like, I think he would just, I think he wouldn't care. I don't think he would care at all. And, you know, I was talking to my buddy Brett about this just now, and he was saying, you know, what's incredible about this whole thing is it actually demonstrates how far mixed martial arts has come. Like, where, you know, like recently almost, you know, like in the last 20, I don't know, 20 early, you know, low 20s years, MMA was like illegal in a bunch of states. You couldn't put on events like almost anywhere. And now it's globally accepted, and to the point where 2 billionaires, most well-known billionaires, are agreeing to cage fights on Twitter, and it's like legit possible it might seriously happen, dude. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know if it would really happen, but like, it wouldn't be, if they did do it, it's not like it would be equivalent to like finding out the earth is flat. Like, it, you know, like there's a world where this could happen. It's not weird that they are challenging and accepting a cage match with each other, which is awesome, dude. It's awesome. It's awesome. If you don't train, I'm telling you, I can't stress this enough. I had hung it up, dude. I did kickboxing for a long time, and then I just kind of was like, I just got off of it for a while, and then it was like, and then a couple, you know, 2.5 years ago, someone's like, you know, someone forced me into jiu-jitsu, and now I train all the time. It's literally all I do. All I do is record videos, you know, do other things, and then I train jiu-jitsu. I can't stress it enough. Like, if you're 37 years old, you think you're like past it, or if you're 40 years old, you think you're past it. It's like, all right, well, if you, just start now, train all the time, and then by the time you're 46, you'll be like a high-level purple belt, potentially close to getting your brown belt. You know, by the time you're 50, you'll have a black belt. You think you're dead at 50? And then you have credibility anywhere, you know? Not just like out in the street, but like anyone who wants to talk to you about combat sports, you go, oh yeah, I have a black belt under, you know, whoever your professor is. Like that, you can have that. I will. I'm good. I mean, the only reason I would not be a black belt in a few years, you know, or, you know, without getting into the semantics of however many years, is if I stop training, and I'm not going to stop training. So it's inevitable. There's going to be a day where I get my black belt. That's not that far away. That can be you also. So start training if you don't already. All right. So now let's talk about this submarine, which is an absolute nightmare, dude. An absolute nightmare. Okay. So they found the submarine and they sent a robot, like one of these robots that has arms and, you know, whatever, down to the search site, which apparently was, you know, like obviously was like around the Titanic because that's where they were going. And they found debris, right? Like they found like wreckage, it sounds like, from the actual submarine, which means that we know what happened, right? Like that means that we know essentially exactly what happened, okay? Because they lost contact 1 hour and 45 minutes into the descent, okay? So if I'm remembering correctly, it was I can't remember it was either 2 hours or 2.5 hours of straight down descent to the Titanic, okay? And at 1 hour and 45 minutes, they lost contact, right? And so at the time, because this thing was so janky and they had lost they lost contact all the time, right? Like we're going to talk about that in a second. How jerry-rigged and just, this thing was held together by like zip ties and shit. And that's not a joke. That's actually for real. On one of the voyages, he had to attach something back to this thing with zip ties. Okay? That's the level that this guy's operating at. And so, yeah, they had lost communications a bunch of times before. And so when they lost communications at 1 hour and 45 minutes, they didn't even panic because they're like, oh, yeah, we lost communications again. And then it wasn't until, 6-7 hours later when they had not heard anything from them that they were like, oh, man, they're lost, right? Like the communications are out. The electricity on the thing, their communications are whatever, right? Like they're like something is seriously wrong. And that's when they started searching for them, right? And so everyone was under the assumption, at least I was, that these guys were trapped at the bottom of the ocean, right? Like that's, and in hindsight, it's kind of, I don't know. Like that was what my assumption had been this whole time. And that's why I was really like just having tremendous anxiety thinking about them being down there. Like people die all the time, like I don't have overwhelming visceral reactions to people dying unless it depends on the thing, right? But the idea of those guys being trapped in that sardine can at the bottom of the ocean, 12,000, 13,000 feet underwater was extremely overwhelming to even think about. No bathroom, no communications, no ability to get up there. It's, and like, this one guy's there with his son. He brought his son with him. He's having to try to like comfort his son through, running out of air. They all know that the likelihood that they're going to get out of there is none. You got the guy whose fault it is sitting 2 feet away from you. This guy killed your son. That guy. This guy told you it was safe. This dude right here told you it was safe. And now you're going to watch your son have a panic attack that I don't think anyone could even wrap their brain around. And then you are supposed to like not completely panic about your imminent death and try to, it's unfathomable. And then people have to start pissing and shitting and like there's nowhere to go. They're just going to piss and shit everywhere in this place. They got multiple days trapped down there, no food, no water, trapped. Looking at the guy who did this to them, buried alive with a submarine full of people that's this big. They say that one person who had gone on it before said you had to sit Indian style for 8 hours. He said it was awful. Like the guy said it was awful, And so in addition to every other thing that this guy took, let me come back to that. But because the debris is at the bottom, we know what actually happened was this thing did not hold up under the pressure, right? Because obviously, like a person cannot be 10,000 feet under the ocean, under the water, okay? And anything that you want to bring down there has to be able to withstand a level of pressure that is hard to even wrap your brain around. They said that at 13,000 feet, that the pressure from the water is the equivalent of a mid-sized car on every square foot of the thing. Just try to think about that, right? Like if you could focus all of the weight of a mid-sized car onto 1 square foot, okay? Like a square foot that needs to hold up under the weight of a car, and then so does the next one, and so does the next one, and so does the next one. That's the level that you're dealing with, right? And so if you have any kind of failure in the, in any of the sealants and any of that thing, you crushed instantly. If the window breaks, if one part of it breaks, you get it just, and the people will die instantly. You know, like you'll just, like your body will explode. So obviously that was the ideal scenario. You know, if they're all dead, that for sure is the ideal way for them to go, where it's like you see it, you know, and they go, oh my God, and then boom, just done. You know what I mean? Like instant. At least as far as I understand it. It's not like it cracks and then it starts filling up with water for very long. It's like you're just crushed. So it's awful. It's tragic, and it's due to this guy's reckless behavior and unbelievable irresponsibility, which I'll talk about in a second. But first, I want to talk about these people online and their, these people online and them like celebrating this like it's some kind of funny thing. You know, oh, they're billionaires, so they deserve it, or like, I don't even know. It's like just. I mean, people talking about, I don't know, dude. It's just like, at the time when we thought that they were trapped down there in this submarine, right? Which, thank God, was not the case, it sounds like. But when that was the situation that you thought that they were in, to have any kind of a reaction to that, where you think it's funny or you're making jokes. You know, I mean, obviously you could, I don't know, you can like make comments and jokes about how stupid this guy is. But like if the overwhelming emotional reaction that you have to this story was not, I don't know, paralyzing, like empathy, like, you know, or not paralyzing necessarily, but just like, wow, man, can you imagine being down there? If it's like, don't ever tell me that anything that you're talking about societally has anything to do with anything other than you are a bitter, angry person that hates yourself. And so you like looking for, you know, outlets for that. You hate those people. Oh, billionaire, I hate them. You're like, you hate that? You don't even know them. You think a billionaire is the reason why your life sucks? Your life sucks because you don't do anything. You didn't do anything. You had no goals. Okay. If you would have set specific goals starting when you were younger and then worked towards them, then that's what you'd be doing now. There's nothing that's out of reach for anyone outside of a handful of things where physical attributes are necessary. If you decide the thing that you want is that, and you put in enough time, in almost every case, you'll be able to get there. You know, I mean, you can't play in the NBA if you're 5'1". You can't be a YouTube star if you have absolutely no talent. But like, you know, like, be realistic, think of a goal and accomplish it. You'll be happy. So these like weirdo nobodies, you know, that gloat about that kind of thing. It's disgusting, man. It's pathetic. So I just want to put that out there. Also, I wanted to say that this guy, the CEO of this company, he's dead. But honestly, he's the one guy that I don't really have any sympathy for, actually. I don't have any sympathy for this guy. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm glad he's dead. But if I'm going to sympathize with people involved in this story, it's going to be everyone else, because that guy told them it was safe. You know, he has them sign an agreement. Oh, you know, whatever. But do you really think that they would have gotten on that thing if that dude did not tell them, oh yeah, we've done this a million times. You know, it's definitely safe. You know, we've done it. Oh yeah, it's great. It's easy. You go down, you go up. We've done it a bunch of times. He told them it's safe, knowing that they had cut a bunch of corners, a bunch of safety things, like completely cut all of the safety stuff out. He said, oh, you know, we can't wait for safety regulators, you know, because you can't innovate fast enough. They had a whistleblower come out and say, this is like, there are serious problems. Like this, there's no contingency plan for this. There's no, like, he's like, this isn't safe. And the guy fired him and sued him. And honestly, like, he took every possible way that you could cut corners, and he cut those corners. And one of those also is putting that many people in that thing. You know, like where the guy said you have to sit Indian style and it's super uncomfortable. Why do you think that is? It's because you jammed so many people in there, right? If there's only 2 people, you can kind of stretch yourself out. Like, you know, do I don't know, dude. It's like every single corner that can be cut, every single one, the guy did. He puts a toilet in there, and then you look in the toilet, and it's a bottle. You know, here you have to pee in this bottle, then we'll put it back in the toilet. Like, of course, it's like it's so misleading. Like, oh yeah, we have a toilet right here. It's like, okay, well, you can't open anything in this thing. It's got to be sealed across the board. So why are we pretending like it's a toilet? Just tell them the truth. Yeah, if you have to pee, you're going to be pissing in a bottle, dude. That's what's up. I don't know, man. He told them it was safe, and it wasn't. And now they're dead. You know? I mean, I would imagine the amount of time, because again, 1 hour and 45 minutes means that they were pretty close to the bottom. They were probably 9,000 feet deep or whatever, and then it just went poof. So it's awful, dude. But again, it's 1,000 times better than the alternative, them being trapped down there for multiple days. I mean, it's such an unfathomable thing. I can't even imagine. I was telling my buddy Jojo earlier, I'm like, dude, if, you know, when I thought when I still thought that is how they went out, like that they ran out of air, you know, like that they got trapped down there and they ran out of air. I told him, I'm like, dude, if someone offered me $10 billion, but what I had to do to get it was go through what they went through, being trapped in that thing for 4 days, ultimately running out of air and dying. You know, it's like, hey, dude, you're going to experience this just like they did. It's not like you're down there knowing I just got to get through this and I get $10 billion. Like, you have to go down there and experience it like them. End of your life. Trapped in this box. No bathrooms. Nothing to drink. Nothing to eat. Nothing. And you're trapped in there for 4 days while the air runs out. You can't stretch your legs. You can't. It's like, and you know you're going to die at the end of this because you're going to run out of air or starve or whatever. Like, I'm like, I wouldn't do it. I'm serious. Like, I would not do it. I wouldn't do it for $10 billion. I'd be like, I'll take my chances with my YouTube and, you know, just my career in general. Like, I'll take my chances, dude. $10 billion? Fuck no. There's no fucking, I would not go. There's nothing I would do. There's nothing that I would sign up to do that for. You know, it's like, maybe if like my kid, I mean, not maybe, for sure. If like my kids' lives were on the line, I would do it. But that's the only way, dude. Or my wife's. But good God, man. Hell on earth, dude. But yeah, so terrible. That's what we got. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Peace.